How long have you been carrying everyone else's burdens while quietly ignoring your own? How many years have you spent being the strong one, the dependable one, the person others lean on? And now, if you're honest, your heart feels tired, not because you stopped believing, but because you've been pouring into everyone else while running on empty yourself. You've smiled when you wanted to cry. You've kept going when your soul begged for rest. You've prayed, worked, worried, and sacrificed until exhaustion became normal. But God sees what others don't. He sees the hidden weariness behind your smile. He sees the nights when you sit in silence wondering how much longer you can keep carrying so much. And tonight, He wants you to hear this. You were never meant to live exhausted forever. Your tired heart is not a sign that you've failed. It may be a sign that God is preparing to renew your strength in ways you never imagined. Perhaps no one truly realizes how tired you've become. People see what you do, but they don't always see what it costs you. They see your responsibilities, your kindness, your willingness to keep showing up, but they rarely see the weight you've been carrying inside. For years, you've been taking care of others. You've solved problems. You've comforted people. You've worried about family, finance, health, and the future. You've carried expectations that were never spoken out loud. Yet somehow you still felt responsible for meeting them, and somewhere along the way, you forgot what it feels like to simply rest, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, deep within your heart. Maybe you've reached a place where even small things feel overwhelming. Conversations require energy you no longer have. Decisions feel heavier than they used to. The things that once brought joy now feel distant. You wake up tired. You go to sleep tired. And sometimes, you don't even know how to explain that kind of exhaustion. Because it isn't laziness. It isn't weakness. It's the exhaustion that comes from being strong for too long. It's the weariness that develops after years of carrying burdens nobody else fully understands. And perhaps the hardest part is that you've kept going anyway. You've continued helping, continued giving, continued trying, even when your own heart was quietly asking for relief. There have been moments when you've sat alone and wondered why everything feels so heavy. Moments when you've questioned whether you'll ever feel like yourself again. Moments when you've whispered prayers that sounded more like sighs than words. And yet, even in those moments, God has been listening. He has seen every hidden struggle, every silent tear, every exhausted prayer, every time you kept moving forward when you wanted to stop. He understands what it feels like to carry more than you were designed to hold alone. And tonight, before anything changes around you, God wants you to know that your weariness is not invisible. Your tired heart matters. Your pain matters. Your emotions matter. And the fact that you're still here, still seeking hope, it's still listening, is proof that there is still life inside your soul waiting to be renewed. Because no matter how weary you've become, God has not forgotten how to restore strength to hearts that have been carrying too much for far too long. Right now, in this quiet moment, God is closer to you than you realize. Not because you've done everything perfectly, not because you've never doubted, not because you've always felt strong, but because His presence does not disappear when your strength begins to fade. For so long, you've been trying to hold everything together. You've carried responsibilities, protected others from worry, and pushed through difficult seasons without allowing yourself to fully stop. And eventually, even the strongest hearts become weary. Perhaps you've wondered why your faith feels different lately, why your prayers seem quieter, why your passion feels dimmer, why your soul feels tired even after resting. But God is not disappointed in you. He is not asking you to pretend that you're okay. He is not asking you to hide your exhaustion behind another smile. He already knows. He knows the burdens you've carried in silence. He knows the pressure you've placed upon yourself. He knows the fear you've kept hidden. He knows the loneliness that sometimes visits in the middle of the night, and He has stayed beside you through all of it. Even in seasons when you felt spiritually empty, God never moved away. Even when you struggled to find the words to pray, He still understood your heart. Even when your faith felt small, His love remained constant. because God's presence is not reserved for people who are always strong. It is often felt most deeply by those who have reached the end of their own strength. Tonight, God is inviting you to stop striving for a moment, to stop carrying everything by yourself, to stop believing that you must earn rest. You do not have to prove your worth. You do not have to keep pretending that you can handle everything alone. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to admit that your heart needs healing. You are allowed to rest in the presence of a God who understands exactly what you're feeling, and perhaps this is what your soul has needed for a long time. Not another obligation, not another responsibility, not another expectation, but permission to breathe, permission to let go, permission to trust that God is strong enough to carry what has become too heavy for you, because He has never asked you to walk through life alone. And tonight, as you listen to these words, He wants you to know this truth. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are not failing. You are simply weary. And weary hearts are precisely the hearts God loves to restore. There is a kind of exhaustion that sleep cannot fix, a weariness that settles deep within the soul after years of carrying responsibilities, meeting expectations, and putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own. People often see your strength. They admire your resilience. They appreciate your reliability, but very few understand the invisible battle you've been fighting. The battle of continuing when your heart longs for rest. The battle of staying hopeful when disappointment has visited more than once. The battle of smiling in public while feeling emotionally drained in private. Perhaps you've become so accustomed to carrying burdens that you no longer remember what it feels like to live without them. You tell yourself to keep pushing, keep serving, keep helping, keep enduring. But underneath it all, there is a quiet voice asking a difficult question. How much longer can I keep doing this? You've spent years taking care of family, supporting others, managing responsibilities, solving problems, showing up when people needed you. And while those acts came from love, they also required something from you. Energy, emotion, patience, strength, and little by little, without realizing it, your own soul became depleted. Maybe you've even felt guilty for being tired, guilty for wanting a break, guilty for wishing someone would notice that you need support too. But exhaustion is not failure. Weariness is not weakness. It is often evidence that you've been giving far more than you've been receiving. And the enemy loves to use exhaustion, because a weary heart begins to question things it once believed. A weary mind starts believing lies. Maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe I'm letting people down. Maybe I should be stronger. Maybe I don't deserve rest. But those thoughts were never meant to become your truth. God never intended for you to carry every burden by yourself. He never asked you to save everyone. He never expected you to sustain your own soul through willpower alone. The invisible battle has not only been about your circumstances, it has been about protecting your heart from becoming hardened, protecting your faith from becoming empty, protecting your hope from fading away. Because when a person becomes emotionally exhausted, they stop dreaming, they stop expecting good things, they stop believing that renewal is possible. They survive, but they no longer feel alive. And perhaps that's where you've been, not broken, not defeated, just tired, very tired, tired of worrying, tired of carrying responsibility, tired of being strong, tired of pretending that everything is okay. Yet despite everything, there is still something inside you, refusing to give up, a small flame, a quiet hope, a longing to feel joy again, a desire to wake up with peace instead of pressure. That longing matters, because God placed it there, and God does not plant hope in a heart He intends to abandon. Even now, while you feel weary, He is working. While you feel drained, He is restoring. While you feel empty, He is preparing to fill places within you that have been neglected for far too long. This battle has not been the end of your story. It has been the place where God is teaching you something important. You were never created to carry the weight of the entire world upon your shoulders. You were created to walk closely with Him, to trust Him, to lean on Him, to rest in Him. And perhaps the breakthrough you've been praying for is not another opportunity to do more. Perhaps it is finally learning how to receive the strength that God has been offering you all along. Because faith was never meant to exhaust you. Faith was always meant to sustain you. And tonight, God is reminding your weary soul that you do not have to fight this battle alone anymore. But what if your exhaustion is not a sign that you are falling apart? What if it is a sign that you've reached the end of relying only on your own strength? For years, you've carried responsibilities that demanded your time, your energy, your attention, and your heart. You kept going because people depended on you. You kept showing up because you believed quitting was not an option. You kept sacrificing because love often asks us to give, but somewhere along the journey, you forgot that even the strongest souls need restoration, and perhaps this is the moment when everything begins to shift. Not because your circumstances suddenly become easier, not because every problem disappears overnight, but because you finally realize that God never expected you to carry all of this by yourself. Maybe you've spent years asking God to give you more strength so you could continue carrying heavy burdens. But what if He is inviting you to put some of those burdens down instead? What if the answer is not found in pushing harder, but in resting deeper? What if healing begins when you stop trying to prove that you can handle everything alone? Because there is a difference between being faithful and being exhausted. There is a difference between serving with joy and surviving through constant depletion. God is not asking you to become someone else. He is inviting you back to yourself, back to the person who could still laugh freely, back to the person who once felt hopeful about the future, back to the person who believed that peace was possible. And maybe peace has felt impossible for a long time. Maybe you've become so familiar with stress that calm feels unfamiliar. Maybe you've lived in survival mode for so long that rest feels uncomfortable. But your weary heart was never designed to live in survival mode forever. It was designed to be renewed, to be refreshed, to be strengthened. And tonight, God is gently reminding you that you don't have to earn His comfort. You don't have to deserve His peace. You don't have to prove your value through endless sacrifice. You are already loved, already seen, already cared for, even in your weakness, even on your fatigue, even in seasons when you feel like you have nothing left to give. And perhaps this is your turning point. The moment you stop measuring your worth by how much you accomplish. The moment you stop believing that carrying everything alone makes you stronger. The moment you allow yourself to receive the grace you've spent years giving to others. Because faith is not another burden to carry. Faith is the place where burdens become lighter. It is the place where tired hearts find rest. It is the place where exhausted souls discover that God's strength begins exactly where human strength ends. So tonight, let yourself breathe again. Let yourself hope again. Let yourself believe that your tired heart can heal, because God is not finished restoring you, and the strength you thought you had lost may be returning in ways you never expected. For a long time, you may have defined yourself by what you do for others. The helper, the provider, the caregiver, the dependable person everyone calls when life becomes difficult. And while those roles are meaningful, they are not the entirety of who you are, because somewhere beneath the responsibilities, schedules, the expectations, and sacrifices, there is still a person God deeply loves, a person with dreams, a person with emotions, a person with needs, a person worthy of receiving the same compassion they so freely give away. But emotional exhaustion has a way of distorting identity. It whispers that your value depends on your productivity. It suggests that resting is selfish. It convinces you that slowing down means falling behind. And over time, you begin to believe that your purpose is only found in serving others. Yet God sees you differently. He does not measure your worth by how much you accomplish. He does not love you more on your productive days or less on your difficult ones. His love is not based on performance. It is rooted in who you are. You are not valuable because you carry everyone's burdens. You are valuable because God created you with intention. You are not important because you never get tired. You are important because your life matters to Him. You are not failing because your heart feels weary. You are human, and being human means needing renewal. Perhaps tonight God is restoring something that exhaustion slowly stole from you. The ability to see yourself through His eyes, not as someone who must always perform, not as someone who must constantly prove their worth, not as someone whose identity is tied to endless responsibility, but as someone worthy of peace, someone worthy of rest, someone worthy of healing, someone worthy of joy. You have spent years pouring into others, encouraging others, supporting others, believing in others. Now God is asking you to extend that same kindness toward yourself, to stop speaking to yourself with harshness, to stop expecting perfection, to stop carrying guilt for needing rest. Because needing restoration does not mean you've become weak. It means you've been strong for a very long time. And even strong people need moments of renewal. God has not called you to live constantly depleted. He has called you to live connected to Him, to receive strength from Him, to find peace in Him, to remember that your identity is not built upon endless striving. It is built upon being loved, deeply loved, completely known, fully seen. And perhaps that is the truth your heart needs most tonight. You are more than your responsibilities, more than your obligations, more than the expectations others place upon you. You are a child of God whose weary soul deserves care, compassion, and restoration. And no season of exhaustion can take away the value God has already placed within you, because before you ever carried a burden, achieved a goal, or met someone's expectations, you were already precious in His sight, and you still are. Healing rarely arrives all at once. More often, it comes quietly, like the first light appearing after a long night, like taking a deep breath and realizing that, for the first time in a long while, your heart feels a little lighter. Perhaps your breakthrough will not begin with dramatic changes. Perhaps it will begin with peace returning. Peace in your thoughts, peace in your spirit, peace in the places that have carried worry for far too long. Maybe tomorrow will still bring responsibilities. Maybe challenges will still exist, but something inside you will be different. You will no longer face life believing that everything depends entirely on you. You will begin to understand that God's strength was never meant to be a distant promise. It was meant to become your daily source of renewal. And little by little, the weight you've been carrying will begin to loosen. The pressure to have all the answers, the pressure to always appear strong, the pressure to keep giving when your soul has been asking for rest. God is not only restoring your energy, He is restoring your ability to enjoy life again, to notice beauty again, to laugh again, to dream again, to wake up without immediately feeling overwhelmed by everything waiting for you. Because a weary soul does not simply need more determination. It needs restoration. It needs hope. It needs the assurance that it does not have to survive on empty forever. And tonight, God is reminding you that renewal is possible. The joy you once felt can return. The peace you have missed can return. The passion you thought was gone can return. Not because you become stronger overnight, but because you stop carrying what was never yours to carry alone. There is a future version of you that is breathing easier, sleeping better, smiling more often, living with greater freedom, not because life became perfect, but because your heart learned how to rest in God's presence. That future is not out of reach. It is already beginning. Every moment you choose faith over fear. Every moment you choose rest over striving. Every moment you allow yourself to receive God's love instead of trying to earn it. These small moments become the beginning of transformation. And perhaps the greatest breakthrough of all is this: realizing that your tired heart was never a problem God needed to fix. It was a heart He wanted to heal, a heart He wanted to strengthen, a heart He wanted to remind that even after years of carrying responsibilities, there is still room for peace, joy, renewal, and hope. Your soul has not reached its limit. It has simply reached the place where God can begin restoring what life has slowly worn down. And what He restores with tenderness, with purpose, and with love. Tonight, let your weary heart rest. You do not have to carry every burden by yourself anymore. You do not have to keep proving how strong you are. God sees your exhaustion. He understands the weight you've been carrying. He knows the responsibilities that have drained your energy and the silent battles that have tired your soul. So breathe deeply tonight. Release the pressure, release the worry, release the need to have everything figured out. May God renew your spirit with fresh strength. May He replace your weariness with peace. your anxiety with calm, and your heaviness with hope. May your heart remember that it is loved, protected, and never alone. Rest tonight, knowing this truth. You have carried enough for a long time. Now let God carry you, and as a new day begins, may you rise with renewed faith, renewed peace, and renewed strength for the journey ahead.